Yo, yo, yo. How's everybody doing today? It is Friday. You are with the Southern Gunner. We are going to have a panel of legends on this Friday. Got with me, I've got Jez, we got DWTT, Kyle, TJ, and more are on the way. Fellas, have y'all recovered from last night?
Yeah, I know what you did there with that music. You try to calm Carl down. Carl, don't fall for it. That music, I know exactly what you were trying to do there. Carl, I hope you turned the audio off.
I don't know. I feel better.
Take a hell of a lot more than that to calm me down.
Jez, how you doing, brother?
I'm all good, man. I'm all good. Thanks for inviting me on your show. Always a pleasure to see you and meet DWTT for the first time. TJ, good to see you, and the legend that is Kyle. I'll tell you what, mate, I don't want to get in a row with Kyle after last night. Legend. Mate, yeah, the game. The game. It wasn't great, was it? I predicted a 2-2. I'm disappointed that he did what he did. Big mistake. We could have made a statement last night, and we didn't. And this is my concern with Arteta. Every time in a cup competition, he just doesn't seem to step up to the mark. And basically, all right, we got away with it. And back in time, 2 away goals would have counted for a lot, but that doesn't count anymore. So it's 0-0 when we come back to the Emirates next week. And I'm just hoping he will step up and actually look at what he's done and say, okay, we need to mix it up and we need to bring back in our first team, because it proved a point last night. I thought Saka was very poor last night. He wasn't getting the service he needed, and he has to feed off that right wing. He wasn't getting it. He was ineffectual, and he might as well not even played him. He might as well played somebody else in there, because it was pointless. And it was basically, we got away with it. Sporting Lisbon, they're a decent side, but we have a better side than them. But it proved, I'm sorry I have to say this again, it proves what a weak squad we have. And I see people all the time, oh, but when we get in the Champions League, we're going to buy. I don't believe that for 1 minute. We didn't do it in January when we should have done, because we have that idiot in place, Edu, who just does not step up to the mark. And I'll tell you now, if Arteta does not win the Premier League this season, or does not win the Europa League this season, he has to go. Fact. And Edu has to go with him. Garlic Head has to go with him, and the rest of the gang, because they've had their time. They've spent over 500 million. It's now time to step up and say, we're serious, guys. Didn't see it last night.
I'll tell you what, man, we might well just stop the show now, because Jez just dropped everything I wanted to say off. So that's it. We can close the show out right now.
Sorry, man. Sorry.
That was the gospel. No, that's the gospel, because he's correct. We walked into that game last night. I'm not sure how many of y'all saw my fan cam with Lee last night, but I said we walked into that game last night. A lot of our fans were overconfident. For some weird reason, we were overconfident. And I don't think anybody has realized that over the last 2 or 3 years, we have not performed well in second legs of ties. Olympiacos, with Villarreal, we have had trouble on these second legs. And I texted Lee yesterday, and I told him my ideal situation would be to defeat Sporting by a healthy number of goals to where the second leg wouldn't matter. But what do? We go out there and we've literally given them a moral victory. So they're thinking, well, yeah, we can come back and maybe, snatch something out of this game, because all they need is a 1-0, 2-1. All they need is a win. It doesn't even matter what, just a win. we've also put ourselves in a situation, Jazz, where we have to win this game, or if we end up tied, guess what, y'all? We got to go to overtime, extra time. That's unnecessary. You're putting your players at risk unnecessarily because we did not manage this properly. And then I want to hit on this, Jazz, and Kyle, I'm coming to you next. Is why did we not go out and buy players that we need for these type situations? I said it yesterday. We just don't have a strong team. We just don't have it, no matter which way you slice it. We brought this gentleman in from Poland. I think it's Poland where we got him from Poland. And we could have took that money. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I'm sure we spent enough money on him to where we probably could have went and got somebody with a little bit more experience, or even a loan that could have come in, could have come in and did a job for us to help us get through this stuff. This player, this is his first game, and we signed him in January. Has anybody thought about that? January, we signed this guy in January, and he's just now on the pitch for Arsenal. Now, why are we spending money on players that are not prepared when we need them to step up? Another thing is that some of these fringe players, and I've said this to Gary already, but these fringe players need to be looked at. If you cannot get the job done the next 2 or 3 months, the next 2.5 months, then you need to be sold in the summer. It's either put up or shut up for some of these guys, because we're going to have to rely on some of these players. And appreciate that, TJ. $25 million. $25 million we spent on this guy, Kivia. Now, maybe he may show up next week and he'll be the second coming to Saliba. But for right now, based off of what my eyes showed me yesterday, it looks like we've done it again, y'all. We've went out here and spent money on unproven talent that we're going to have to deal with because we have a clown as a director of football going out here getting these unknown players that you can only go to the. We got a country saying down here in the South, and you probably get up there in Kansas City too. That TJ, you can go to the well, but you keep going to that well too many times, you're gonna probably wind up getting something you don't want. And we have got to address this issue of we've got players like Saka. Did y'all see that last night limping around again? It would be a miracle if this young man makes it the whole season. It would be an absolute miracle. Kyle, enough of me. I'm going to let you talk about last night's game, brother. Take it away.
Massive.
He's so
no, can you hear me now, Mass?
Yeah, I'm saying you're so mad you cut yourself off.
Yeah, no, it's daughter ringing me there. No, first of all, I'd like to say, Matt, thanks for having me on your show, especially with all the legends here on the screen in front of me. Big up to each and one of you.
Appreciate it, man.
I'd just like to say this about last night. Shocking performance. But this don't surprise me. I'm one of the lads that's shouting from the rooftops that this current Arsenal squad is not good enough to win anything. And I from what I saw last night, I looked at the highlights of it. I missed the game. I bought my daughter to an orchestra. Absolutely shocking. Now, today I wake up and all I'm listening to is the Arsenal fan base talking about the mistake between Turner and Kiawara. And there's arguments about it. And I'm simply saying, what's Kiawara and Turner doing at Arsenal Football Club? They should be nowhere near the club. Not good enough. You see, you have to raise I'm always talking about standards. You have to have the standards and they have to be high. And this current squad is not good enough. Now, Arteta is coming along. He's disrespecting the Carling Cup. He's disrespecting the FA Cup. And now he's disrespecting the European competition. That we haven't won a European Cup since 1994, when we had real players, real legends of the club. Not the clowns that we have today. Vieira. Shocking. People say it was a great game last night. He's a shocking player. Not good enough. Turner, Kiawara, Saka. So Jesus Christ, he's playing him in every game. The man is not a machine. Yes, I say I'm one of the first fellas to say players shouldn't be rested because they're professionals and they're millionaires. And I don't really buy into all this. You have to rest players, blah, blah, blah. We don't rest. We have to go out and do our jobs every day. These lads have to do their jobs. But Jesus, Saka is playing in every game. And then you have the likes, you have Saliba, who I think personally is off his game since January. I can see lots and lots and lots of problems throughout this team, throughout this squad. Nelson scored a goal against Bournemouth there last week, and all of a sudden he's made out to be a legend. Give him a new contract. He's not good enough for Arsenal Football Club. Contracts. This is the standard our club is at. It's a fucking shambles. And this club is going to win nothing this season. And when that happens, because I'm not interested in second, third, or fourth. If we go and do the business, I'm with Jace. I want Arteta, Vinay, Edo, the whole lot of them out of my club. At the end of the day, people are saying, oh, we'd be delighted if we get second, third, and fourth. Sure, who wants Champions League football when we're getting a lesson by Sporting Lisbon? What would Real Madrid and these things do? With this current squad of players that we have. And this bullshit talk, we buy this and we buy that when we get to Champions League. We buy nothing. We've proven that. We can't close off the big players. The club is a shambles. Well, we wait and see. But when it happens, I want apologies. I'm going on every show and I want apologies because I'm telling you, we're going to win fuck all.
Gary, I'm going to let you hop in there. Gary, I got to follow that. Yeah.
I know. I was like, thanks. We're not going to win anything. I hope you're wrong. I hope you're wrong, Kyle. But you can see it. You can see issues coming up. Yeah, well, going into this game, I was like, I think we were the better team yesterday, but we say that so many times. How many games have we watched where we're the better team and we lose or, we draw? This team, the confidence probably didn't look like it was there. We're the top team in the Premier League. It's not by mistake. It is not by mistake. So anytime you step out onto the pitch, you got to remember that. And I think they did not come to play. And as you said, Saka probably could have done with a break. He has to play through his poor performances, but I think it's more you need to rotate. I have been saying this for a while now. Arsenal needs to rotate their players, and it's not necessarily just because they're tired. There's mental reasons for it. Dips in form, a dip in form for Saka means if nobody else is doing it on the pitch, it doesn't happen. Because he can bring it when he's on. And he's shown us this year, right? Every goal he scored puts us ahead or draws the game. So when he's not having a good day, sometimes it's okay to pull him. This game, we should have pulled people at halftime like we did the last game when things just weren't looking right. Arteta likes to wait to see if they can work it out. And sometimes, let's not wait to work it out. Let's just fix it right now, right? Fix it right now. Let's get this thing done. Let's try to get out of Portugal with a lead. And then figure it out when we get home, all right?
It's deflating, man. It's deflating, Gary. When you think about it, that you've got players, and it just goes all. It's just we're going to keep circling back to this because it is what it is. That January transfer window, we did not do the business. We did not do it. It's about you can't. People are going to try to shave over it and say we were, all these excuses and stuff. But the root of the problem is we knew we were going to be challenging on this Europa League. We knew that we were going to be at least in the hunt for this title back in January. We knew we did not expect we were going to be this, like where we are now, but we knew we were going to be in the picture. I've said it and I'll say it again. We're going to find out very soon, the ambition of this club. We're getting real close to finding it out because, as Kyle alluded, we're in Champions League next year. Jay said it. We've got people talking about. I saw it this morning. Somebody said this morning, "Oh well, we're gonna go out and we'll link with this player. 90 million for this one, 100 for this one." And how many times have we seen Arsenal spend 100 million on a player? Where? Find me the article right now and drop it in the chat where we spent that kind of money on players.
I always say that you kind of like build up to certain things. If we're building up to the Champions League, we're doing it all wrong, because Europa League isn't even close, right? At this point in Europa League, it's not even close to what we're competing against in terms of teams and the history and everything that goes with it. You can't. We should be using this as a stepping stone to be ready for the Champions League right now, and we're not doing that at all. And they're planning for us just to be top 4, but not necessarily planning for us to be competing in top 4.
Gary,
we're a big surprise right now that we're sitting at the top of the league, but we're not using that as a plus, right? As a little incentive to do better in everything else we do. We should not have lost to Everton. We should have not. That City team wasn't good enough to beat us. Mentally it should not be. If you're sitting top of the league, it's not by mistake. You've got enough. I would say, credit in the bank to say, we should be able to beat most teams in this league, and pretty much all of them. We should compete with everybody. We still haven't gotten over this whole City thing. We come in there in City and we basically give them goals, and then we try to fight back. Too late. We need to go in these games confident that we can win. We're not. These 63 points are not a mistake. As much as people want to say they're a mistake, not all of them. And if you look at all these games that City and all these, and Liverpool and Chelsea and any team you can think of, they don't get them all by winning them outright every time. You get some luck involved. Call goes your way. All those things. So the 63 is real, because when we were sitting in 8th, the table was right.
Yeah.
Right? The table was right when we were 8th place, when we were 5th place. So it's right today, no matter what happens. And we got to hold. It should be easy to hold on to this thing. Who wants, when it's like a relay race, right? You get that baton on the last turn. We're almost in that last turn now. It doesn't matter what you do. You hold on and hold that space, that place, and you finish first, right? We're not playing with that sense of urgency we need to, right? I always feel it's just an easy thing. It's hard to implement, but it's an easy thing. We are sitting first for a reason. Use that, and you should be able to sell that. I don't understand how Arteta can't sell first in the league to anybody who wants to come here.
Well, Gary, that's why I said whoever is on. If I was the manager, and TJ, we're gonna come to you in just a second. If I was the manager, I would sit every fringe player in a room. I would close the blinds. I would turn on one light, and I would look at them and say, "You get your ass in gear, or you're out of here. Come this summer." It's that simple. It's that simple, because either you're gonna put up or shut up. A lot of these players have been here for God knows how long. I saw somebody in the chat, right here, brought up about Rob Holding. This is subject A. That should be one of the first people out of this club. Anthony says here, players like Rob Holding were good enough back then and weren't good enough now, and aren't good enough now. Why are they still here? Soccer needs a rest. You're going to kill him before he reaches his early 30s. I mean, we did it with Jack Wilshere. I mean, a lot. We've had the problem I have with Edu and Arteta is that they just they're not forward thinking. Each of us have to get an insurance policy for health insurance, just in case something happens, just in case. And we don't have an in case mentality. Our mentality is we'll just go along to get along. We'll just kind of go along. Gary, you brought up something about next year, about the competition in Europe. Champions League, for all this talk, Jez, I heard people say, well, if we get in the Champions League, we do this, we do X, Y, and Z. With the current team that we have, if we were in the Champions League, it would be no different than when we were with Arsene Wenger, and we'd get through the group, and then we go to the knockout. If we made it there, by the way, because we were scuffling so bad there towards the end that if we even made it to the knockout round, we would get sent home. We get popped 12, 11, nothing, 10, nothing by Bayern Munich, Barcelona. You get blown off the park by these teams. And I'm for one to tell people, if we're going to go to the Champions League next year and do the same thing that we fought what 5 years to get back in to do, then damn it, just give it to somebody else. Because if we're not competing, I don't want any part of it. That's kind of where I'm at with it now. We need to be competing. We need to be winning. We need to be actively doing something.
May I just jump in there for a second? You're on about Champions League there. Sorry, TJ, your turn next. I just want to say this. You're talking about Arsenal Football Club and Champions League. As we speak, Rob Holding, Kiawara, Turner, Tommy Asu, Anola Gonko, or Sambi, what I call him, is out on loan. Nedson, Eddie Nketiah, Xhaka, Jorginho. These players are not good enough for us to compete at the top level. We have to offload him. Yes, Xhaka is after having a good season, and everybody is raving about it. And fair play to the chap. He's after done well. But he's here 7 years. What did he do this last 6 years? Nothing. Out the door with these lads. Because if not, no point us going to Champions League football next season. Forget about it. We're only joking. We're only fooling around. That to me is not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah. TJ.
So I named out 7 or 8 players there already. That's at our club. Sure, it's a joke. And then people think we're going to win the Premier League. We're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do nothing.
True.
TJ.
Yep.
Bro, you got to come behind all that. So
you guys. So while you guys were talking, I was going out and looking out. Okay, who do Arsenal have on loan? What did our bench look like? So my take on the game yesterday was pretty much the same as everybody else. We were lucky to get out of there with a draw. I mean, Curior, I don't want to see that guy on our back line ever again. He is not levels. If he can't handle 4th place Sporting Lisbon, 4th place in the Portuguese league, by the way, if he can't handle them, how is he going to handle anybody in the Premier League? He is not a future signing. 25 million down the drain, in my opinion, if that's what we have to look forward to. That was embarrassing. You can say what you want about Turner. I know there was a lot of people saying, oh, he should have come out. He should have punched that. Okay, watch that replay again and tell me how, with Curior cowering in front of him, he was supposed to go out there and punch that ball. Tell me. Without possibly taking out Gonzalo, by the way. So I might be sticking up for my American Matt Turner here. I still don't think he's good enough for Arsenal, by the way. But it wasn't his fault. Now, getting off of that, I want to go back to the depth question that we're talking about. For the record, and this differs from pretty much everybody else here, I don't blame Arteta for this. I blame Edu. If we don't win the Premier League, if we don't win the Europa League, it is because of that January window and the summer before that. There was no forward looking at all. The only person that we have right now that can play right wing is Saka. He will be done by the time he is 29 at the current pace that he's playing.
That's being generous.
And that is exactly. So I want you guys, here was who we had on the bench last night. Ramsdale, Party, Gabriel, Smith Rowe. Obviously, you're fine resting those guys for Fulham because you think you have depth at those positions, right? Hilson, I don't know who that is. Holding, I wish I didn't know who that was. Tomiyasu, Bandiera, I don't know who that is. Sergio Jr., don't know who that is. Smith, Walters. Okay, so I think I've made my point. We did not go into this season planning on going far in the Europa League. We didn't. We only had the Premier League in our sights, which is why we completely threw away the Carabao Cup. We threw away the FA Cup. Just whatever. We don't need that. We're only sights set on the Premier League. And maybe that's because we started the season so well. I understand that levels change, but now that the level has changed, we should have gone out in January and gotten a replacement for Saka. We didn't. Period. Caicedo would have been great to fill out our midfield. Awesome. Trossard, I think he was the signing of the January window for the Premier League, in my opinion. But that was the only shining bit in a pile of rubbish. Okay. And I'm glad you're not monetized, Matt, because I'm going to say this.
Hey, bro,
Edu could fuck up a free lunch. Okay. The Cronkies supposedly opened the war chest and we're going to go out and we're going to buy all these players. You couldn't convince Joao Felix to come here to first place Arsenal? Instead, he goes on loan to Chelsea?
But TJ, we had the Arsenal fan base accountants telling us that was too much money to spend on.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, you know, and I want to know where these guys got their degrees. Because it's, number one, as Gunnar always says, it's not our money. So why are you counting? Number two, the Cronkies own so many franchises and collect so much profit. I don't want to hear any of this. Oh, Arsenal are a self-sustaining business. Oh, okay, that's fine. But you also have the heir to the Walmart fortune as our owners. Okay? So I don't want to hear any of these accountants either. Period. It shows a complete, like, so let's go back to Caicedo here. And I know I'm going off and I'll stop here in a second. But let's go back to Caicedo. Everybody has a price. I don't care what you have to say. So if Edu had the war chest open, same with Mudryk, even though I'm glad we didn't buy him. But Caicedo, he had a blank checkbook. So why is he trying to barter with these guys? I don't get it. I sincerely don't get it. So now our depth is so thin. We're in a baby pool right now in terms of squad depth. We are done. One wrong step on Saka, we're done.
Yeah, sprained ankle. A sprained ankle right now is 3 to 6 weeks.
Yeah,
you have to. Just think about that.
We could fall out of the top, and I'm not even trying to be too negative here. We could fall out of the top 4. That's not outside of the realm of possibility. We still have Liverpool, who are on their way back up. We still have Chelsea. Again, it's at the Emirates, but that's never an easy game. I don't care what you say, and they are on their way back up. And we have Liverpool at Anfield, and we saw what happened to United. And if we are thinking that can't just as easily happen to us, I want what you are smoking.
And Newcastle away.
Yeah, Newcastle. Yep. Newcastle away. And City.
And City.
That's
away.
18 points right there. If you look, totaling them all up right there. There you go.
Man,
yeah.
We're missing one valid point here. You're talking about City, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Newcastle. I think we're going to struggle with Fulham on Sunday.
Yeah. Kyle, I agree with you 100%. That the last night's tactics by Sporting will be instituted by Fulham on Sunday. Mark my words. You will see corners over. You will see set pieces, corners, counter attacks, and it's going to be just another showing. I said this a while ago. My biggest fear, and Jez, I'm coming to you next in just a second. My biggest fear are these relegation teams, these teams that are, just poking around the middle of the table, just kind of, we'll want to play spoiler, the Fulhams of the world, the Brentfords, Newcastle, as Jez said, Newcastle, because they're going to always be up for us. And no matter how bad they get beat by United and the other teams, they know they can nick a point off of us. Chelsea, as TJ just said, they're starting to get it together, and before you know it, that gap. But see, this is the way I have to explain to people: the number of games shortened down. So the minute we slip up, it's harder to catch whoever we need to catch if we slip up. Jez Warren says here, if Arsenal win the league, I can see Arsenal saying these players were good enough to win the league and they will be good enough to compete in the Champions League. Warren, you're my boy. I'm 100% in agreement. And if they do that, you might as well just go ahead and just shut the season down next year because we'd be right back where we were 2 years ago. Jez, I'm going to let you speak on that, brother.
Yeah, well, Warren's got it right there. At the end of the day, we haven't invested properly. I was calling back in before the season started. We need a striker. Okay, we bought Jesus. He's a great asset. He's a great player. He's not an out and out striker. Never has been. Never was at Man City. And yeah, we're missing him. And yet the club decided to give Eddie Nketiah a deal, and he scored 4 goals in the Premier League. That, to me, and he's had a lot of starts, guys, that is not the sign of a class striker. And I think Arteta has realised it in the fact he hasn't started the last couple of games. But I do agree with Warren's statement. If Arsenal do get away with winning the league, they'll say, yeah, we've got a top squad. The fact is here, there's a lot of teams, Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea, have been misfiring this season. And it's reminiscent of the season when Leicester City won the Premier League. Arsenal that season were the only team to beat them home and away. But because Arsenal misfired as well, losing to lower level teams in the Premier League, they won it. Man City that season didn't perform. Chelsea didn't. Man United didn't. Liverpool didn't. And they got away with it. They weren't a great team. They had a good striker in Jamie Vardy, but a lot of teams just didn't turn up. Now, just to clarify the point, Matt, is that if Arsenal fluke this, right, as we are 5 points ahead right now, and the Arsenal management say, oh, well, yeah, we've got these players, and they're all going to do well, they're an absolute bunch of frauds. Edu, I think, is the biggest con artist at Arsenal Football Club. Absolute disgrace. Case in point, guys, we could have got a player for free, and yet he gave that club, was it San Paulo?
Yeah.
£3 million to keep good relations. What kind of bullshit is that in business? When I was in business, I didn't keep good relations with anyone. It was dog kill dog. If I wanted to take the business with somebody else, I'd just take it. I wouldn't pay them for it. That, elite football level is you are there to kill everyone else. I don't mean that. You know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah, we know what you mean.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about Newcastle. Not 2 years now, we've not done well there. When we used to go to Newcastle, year on, it was like, it's Newcastle this week away. Yeah, a great weekend because it's a great city to go to, and it's a good party night on a Saturday night, and and all that. And it'll be 3-0, 4-0, 3-1. You never thought about losing to Newcastle. And now I'm sat here thinking, shit, they've done us last season, big time, and we've got to go there again. All right, they've had a bit of a slippery slide lately. They're not done well. But that's an awkward place to go and play. Very much, guys, very much like Craven Cottage. Craven Cottage is a very quirky little stadium. It's proper old school, very much like Goodison Park, and it's a difficult place to go and play. And they're doing okay. They got some decent players in there that could cause us a lot of trouble. But the fact remains here, we've got a very tricky lot of games coming up. Chelsea coming to us, wouldn't write them off. certainly going to Man City and Liverpool away at Anfield, we know how shit we are at them grounds. So this 5 points that everybody's making out, oh yeah, we're 5 points clear. Yeah, that could disappear in 2 games. 2 games. And then we're into deep, deep trouble, because then we could end up 3rd, 4th, because everybody's going to come on us. Seen it so many times. When we were 10 points clear in 2000 something or other season, and Man United picked us, we were 10 points clear of them, and we started showboating. 2-0 up, Bolton Wanderers, 2-0 up, drew 2-2, because we started showboating. That killed our season. We thought we were better than we were, killed us. And Man United caught us up and beat us by, I think, 2 points. So this ain't over yet, people. And yeah, make your point, Matt. We haven't invested correctly. Edu has not done his job. He hasn't done it for 2 years. He'd rather sit there playing with his daughter's toes. And it's shocking. It's absolutely shocking. And if it costs us, if it does cost us, I will have to say, Arteta, you're done. Your time's up. Piss off to Real Madrid. They're looking at you. Edu, you can do one with him. And Garlic Head, you can go the other way, because it's a revamp. And if the Cronkies can't see that, people, then it just shows the ambition they have for this club.
Yeah, 100% agreement with what you just said. I think that if we cannot hold on to this thing, then some heads got to roll, man. Heads have got to roll. And part of that's going to have to be, some of these fans are going to have to wake up and smell the coffee. Because I want people to understand this. It is not guaranteed we're going to compete next year. For some weird reason in people's head, I think they think we're going to just compete since we're here now. We're going to compete for the next 20 years. And we're going to just dominate world football. It doesn't work that way, y'all. Doesn't work that way. Does not work that way. You have an opportunity right now to seal the deal. Then you need to seal the deal. Connor is in the building. Brother, what's going on, my man?
Yeah, I'm good, man. How are you? Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you very much.
Likewise, man. Likewise. Glad to have you here, brother. So what was your thoughts on the game last night, my man?
Definitely not the result I think we all wanted. I think we're all pretty much expected to go there and really take it by the throat of the neck, and really, I was hoping to actually walk out with a clean sheet. I thought we had a good enough team out there before the game to actually go there and just not concede. I don't think really Turner, whenever he played for us, I don't think he actually really put a foot wrong, if I'm going to be completely brutal with you. I think some people may disagree, but I think, you know what, Turner, he played all right for America in the World Cup. When he's played for us in cup competitions, he hasn't been too bad. Obviously, I don't know why, but we didn't use him against Brighton in the FA Cup. We used Carl Hine instead. So, I went to that game expecting not an easy game, but I expected us to just dominate on all fronts and pretty much take it by the scruff of the neck. And obviously that wasn't really the case. And to put it bluntly, it was 2 stupidly bad mistakes. The first goal, I think a lot of us have already talked about, so there's not really a point in me going into detail of it, but there's things about people saying that Turner said, "Oh, my ball," and that's why Kivior ducked and all that. I've been seeing a couple of things about this, about people saying about Kivior should be loaned out, and I'm thinking that's just reactionary. Come on, it's the fella's debut, in my opinion. Give the guy, if he's playing like that again and it's the same thing until the end of the season, then yeah, loan him out, like see how he does. But I think I've seen a lot of people say loan him, get rid of him. It's just reactionary, innit? But you can't fault that. The one thing I would say, and I think Jez said it last night, and I completely agree on, I think it was on Lee's player ratings. For some reason, all that night, on that game last night, Turner just wasn't catching that ball. He'll either punch it, he'll do it, he'll parry, but he wasn't catching it. And that was one of the reasons why we gave away that second goal. He parried it out, and I think, could he have got a hand to it? Maybe, I don't know, but he parried it out, and obviously it went in for the second. So that's the chat on those 2 goals. It was just rookie mistakes, really. And obviously Saliba with a good header with our goal. I still think he was very mediocre in that game. I don't think that goal really made much up for it. He was definitely ball watching for the second goal for Sporting, that's for sure. And then our other goal, obviously, the deflection from the Sporting player off Xhaka's shot. I think it was a decent shot. I don't think Xhaka was actually going for the goal. I think he was trying to give it into Martinelli, and so Martinelli would try to get it in. To be honest, I think we controlled the game, and I think to say we were the better team is probably a bit mediocre. The fact we didn't actually get a win. I definitely think that Sporting countered extremely well. But the big factor now is that they've got 2 players suspended for the next leg in Coates and I forgot the midfielder's name, the one that scored the own goal, I believe. So that's a massive plus for us. I really don't expect them to come to the Emirates. And what was that?
Mitoma.
I don't expect. Well, that's obviously a big plus for us, and I don't really expect them to come to the Emirates and dominate, especially with how our home crowd has been recently. And I don't think they'd really put in a performance like that in front of our crowd. And I wouldn't be surprised as well if we go even stronger. If some of our players do come back, obviously there's been a couple out with flu apparently, or something like that. So no, definitely a disappointing. I mean, do you know what? The fact that we came out with a draw was fair enough. We could have definitely not made it that with obviously the 2 rookie mistakes. But listen, it's not what we wanted. I think it's not as bad. And maybe in my opinion, I don't think it's as bad as people are making out. I think we can definitely come back from it. Definitely something to learn from in terms of the defensive attributes. The fact that we didn't have Gabriel on that team mattered a lot. I think we should have started Gabriel looking at it after the game along Saliba. I don't think for the rest of the season, I don't think that's a thing we should be changing now. It's got to be Gabriel and Saliba together. I don't think I will trust anyone else partnering, whoever it is. So, listen, we've got to go into Fulham now on the weekend, which it's going to be an interesting one. I think that's definitely going to be a game where I was thinking a clean sheet the other day on Jez's channel, but I don't think that's going to be the case anymore. Unless Saliba decides to turn up a bit more and stop ball watching. We'll have to wait and see. And that was my thoughts in the game. And I don't think it was it was obviously not the best of results we could have got. At the end of the day, we've just got to stop with these stupid mistakes. But then again, you can look at it and say the 2 mistakes were really on players that don't normally start for the starting 11. But then again, you've got to look at it in a sense. These are our backup players. If someone gets injured, this is what we've got, So to say overall, I'm sorry for going on a bit. Not the best of results, obviously what we wanted, but I think in the second leg we'll take it to them and we'll get through to that quarterfinal.
All right. Kyle, here you go, brother. Watch William score against us on Sunday. That would be the Arsenal thing to happen, right?
Fulham are a very good football side, and they have a good manager. Silva's a good manager, and he has them playing good football. Craven Cottage, tricky little stadium to go to. The supporters are up. There's a buzz around the air around Fulham at the moment. Fulham are a dangerous little outfit. They have some very good players. William is playing some of his best football. That Solomon fella can't be stopped scoring goals. And I think that we're going to put a bit of pressure on us. And I wouldn't be one bit fucking surprised if they get the 3 points on Sunday. And then the card deck will start to crumble. You see, in my eyes, we are in 2 major competitions, and therefore we should compete to win those 2 major competitions by playing our best 11. Arteta is fucking around. He's arrogant, and his arrogance is going to fail us. He has failed the last 3 years, and he's going to fail again this year. So when is enough? Because if we get beat Sunday by Fulham, like Jay said there earlier, 2 games and that's it. And if we get beat by Fulham, lads, we still have to play Chelsea, Liverpool, City and Newcastle. It's league over. And I'm telling you that this game, so the people are saying to me, a walk in the park, simple, 3 points, no problem. Yeah, really. Let's see on Sunday.
Well, people were saying that last week. I mean, we're gonna blow them out of the park. And then what happened? Now, from here out, every game must be treated like a cup final. That's in my opinion. Every game going forward needs to have the intensity of a cup final because it's just stated. You drop 2 games, and before you know it, now you're chasing. I mean, just think about some of those losses we had early in the year that should have been wins, and now look at where we are. Because we were 8 points at one point, 8 points, and now we just dwindled down to 5. And I guess people got 5 confused with 15. I said, no, we're 5 points ahead. Monty, thanks for joining, brother. How are you doing today, man?
Yeah, good. Wonderful to meet you in person. Good to be here. Just came on for a few minutes to say hello to you and good luck to the channel. Thanks a lot for doing this. And yeah, I've heard you on Lee Gunner's channel, shooting straight from the hip, and nothing gets by you. I can't serve you. I can't serve you piss and call that peach cobbler.
And being from the South, yep, I know a lot about peach cobbler.
Oh yeah, you're the Southern Gooner from Georgia, the land of the peaches. That's why I said what I said.
Exactly. Monty, so what's your thoughts on this game Sunday against Fulham? This is going to be the panel is consensus. We all realize this is going to be a very tricky game, and we've got to maximize points here. We don't really have time for any draws, considering what we've got coming down the park.
Absolutely. I think you've sort of nailed it, and I can't really, say anything different. Every game has got to be treated like a cup final, and this trip to Craven Cottage will be no different. And let's not underestimate Fulham at Craven Cottage because, it is a pretty tough atmosphere over there. I'll take the point that we have beaten them there in previous seasons, but obviously the circumstances now are going to be different because Silva, after struggling with the likes of Everton and Watford, seems to have cracked the Premiership with Fulham, 3rd time's the charm, maybe. And they seem to have done very well so far. This is a must-win game, and I think we need to look at any possible weaknesses of that team. To me, they seem to be dependent a great deal on Mitrovic being able to fire, and obviously the team is sort of built more or less around him. They play a similar 4-2-3-1 formation to us, but I'm not really sure that they have quite the level of dynamism that Arsenal do when we're at our best. But the problem with us is that we've also got a bit of a patched up team to be put out because thankfully, as some of us will agree, there's no Nketiah. And so we will have to stick Martinelli up as one of the top 3. I do hope that Trossard will recover in time. I don't think he will, though. So we can't take this lightly because if we're going to be putting out a patched up team as well. And when we have a situation where this game is a must win, then we can't afford to take Fulham lightly in any way. And all of the glaring weaknesses that we showed during that draw against Sporting Lisbon, I think Fulham will have watched that and will suddenly have an idea of how they can potentially attack us. Because unless we have Gabriel and Saliba back and in form and playing well, set pieces could be a weakness. And I think Kirior had a pretty poor game in the centre of defence when he was supposed to be, Marco Silva's 4th Premier League job, Hull for the second half, and then Watford and Everton, now Fulham. So, Jaminho, thanks for that clarification. So 4th time's the charm. But we've shown some weaknesses when we played yesterday, and those weaknesses could be exploited by Fulham if we're not careful. So we can't afford to make the same selection mistakes that were made against Sporting Lisbon. Although with some players still potentially sick, I don't know if they'll recover in time to play. But we need to win, and we need to make sure that the players do well. And I think for what it's worth, we always seem to be motivated to win these Premiership games, and I think we've got a bit of the rub of the green in our favour. But again, nothing can be taken for granted. And although I'm predicting a 2-1 win for Arsenal, it's not going to be an easy game by any means. And as people like Mr. Walsh and even Jez have said, this could be a big, big banana skin if we're not careful. Big up to everyone, by the way. TJ, DW, Jez, Kyle, Connor. Good to see you all as well. Sorry I didn't acknowledge you before.
Big up, Manny. Big up, Manny.
Okay. Always glad. Excited to have you in,
man. Good to see you.
Bill, man. Pleasure to meet you. Gary, your thoughts on Fulham on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm going to step back a little bit because we also talked about the remaining games. And one of the things that I've had in my head this whole time is we need to win our next 6 Premier League matches before we go into that City match.
Wait a minute, Gary. Wait a minute. You sound like me. I told you finally using some of my terminology. I told you 6 games. I told you that a week ago. 6 games.
Well, I had 10 because I looked at this when we started this when we lost that last match, and then we started. I looked at the lineup of games that we had in there. We've got 10 winnable games in a row. We've got 4 down right now. We've got another 6 to go. I know Liverpool at home is going to be tough, but if we're going to win a league, we need to show that we need to go out there and play, and not take into account that what happened to Manchester United at Anfield is going to happen to us. I mean, we're not, as I've said before, we're not sitting with 63 points because we cannot compete with everybody in the league. We're sitting at 63 points because we can. And that's on the team itself. They need to believe that. They should believe that. They're doing it. Going into this match, as you said, the performance in the last match was pretty poor. I believe the sense of urgency wasn't there. I mean, I think we had a couple opportunities to shoot earlier than often, and we did not do that. The 50-50 ball's got to be ours. We should be playing like a team at the bottom of the league in relegation, trying to get a point. In our case, trying to get 3 points. That's where we are right now. We don't have the opportunity to say, we can wait till the next game to make up for it. We don't have that ability. We don't have the depth to say, you know what? All right, we get them next time. Oh, we got somebody on the bench to help us, because right now we don't. No matter what happens with the illnesses and stuff we have going on right now, going into that Fulham game, our bench is going to be light, right? It's going to be light. Jorginho, maybe Tierney, and Tomiyasu is probably the only thing the strong parts of our depth on the bench right now that we know of, right? So we need to go in there and play. I want these guys dead tired from playing football, not just because they haven't taken a break. Like Saka in the last match looked like he hadn't taken a break. He hadn't stopped playing, taken a break in the 3-4 months now. But these players need to go out there for 60 minutes and hit them in the mouth. We got hit in the mouth last week. That can't happen again. That can't happen. We are a really good 15 to 20-minute team. We're not showing it lately. But you know what? If you do that, guess what that does? Then you can roll with that and keep that. Now you got something to hold on to. But we haven't been doing that. We've been coming out pretty strong, but not getting the goals. We need to get the goals, and then we can run with it, and then we bring in our depth after that. So I kind of feel like, you know what? Go out there and play just like the teams that we talk about. Yeah, we're talking about Fulham struggling with them. Nah, they're going out there. They just lost. They had a pretty poor game going out. They're going to want to redeem themselves, right? We had this. we had that in the last couple of games. I mean, even though we've won some of them, we've come out pretty weak to start these games. We need to start strong, and then necessarily just hold on to our lead, as opposed to start weak and then redeem ourselves. We're better team than that. We show we can finish up, but why don't we just go in and start this thing strong and then run away with it at the end, like we've been showing that we can do. We've got a second gear in the second half of games. How about we do that when we got a lead?
Yeah, exactly. Or do it just like you said, starting straight out, because you look at that game last week, like 6 seconds. I mean, that is a mental thing. That means you weren't locked in going onto the pitch. Now the manager. Now this is where I get on Arteta. The manager has to have them ready out of the locker room going onto the pitch. They have to be ready mentally. He should be telling them, hey, we're in the last few minutes of the game right now, starting right now for the rest of the game. This is the mentality we got to have. We shouldn't be waiting to 15 minutes to try to scrape something, or Reece Nelson with a holy roller that saves us. We have to have the mentality of winning out of the gate. He really just needs, for the rest of the season, just needs to preach urgency in everything we do. Throw-ins, anything we do, everything has to have a level of urgency. Because I'm afraid that if we do not have a level of urgency, these other teams are going to show up with a level of urgency. They're going to show up to play the spoiler. And then before you know it, I'm glad Jess brought it up, because a lot of people hadn't thought about it that way. 5 points can be wiped away with 2 games. It's a cold hard reality that those 2 games we could mess around here and get wiped out in the next couple of games, and then here we are playing catch up. But we've got to come out Sunday with a level of urgency. TJ, your thoughts going into Sunday?
I'm looking at Fulham's team that they played against Brentford. couple of people you'll probably recognize. Bernd Leno. Tim Ream, who is their captain and a great, albeit a little long in the tooth, but a great American center back. I got to big up the Americans. Anthony Robinson. Cedric Suarez, who obviously he can't play against us, can he? Is he on loan or did we sell him?
He's on loan, yeah. So
Okay,
He's on
so
loan?
he can't play
I
against
thought we
us.
sold it.
I thought we sold him. But either way.
Wait a minute. Hold on, TJ. Wait a minute. You mean to tell me that Suarez is still on Arsenal payroll?
yeah,
No, I need to look that.
he
Actually, let me
is.
look
He
that
is.
up.
He's on loan. That's
All right.
See, that's what I'm talking about when it comes to with us, man. We have these players.
I think also he might be hurt right now because it says he's out right now on.
He's not. He's not allowed.
He played
he's
against
not-
Brentford.
He's not allowed to play against Arsenal, lads. That's part of the contract. He's not allowed to play
Yeah, he
against
can't.
Arsenal.
He can't
Okay,
play
all right,
against
so
us.
he's
Either
on
way,
for
so
too long.
so,
And
so
we're
the point
also
I'm trying
paying
to
50% of his wages.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying So the point I'm trying to make here is that Fulham have people that are going to be up for this game. Carlos Vinicius, former Spurs player, Willian, and of course Alexander Mitrovic. So if you guys remember all the way back to September, we struggled against these guys at the Emirates. So everybody remembers, of course, everybody remembers Cedric's winner. Gabrielle's winner, excuse me, header to win the game. Die in seconds, right? We should be putting teams like this away. Period. And we were strong back then. We didn't have any injuries. We had Jesus. We had a very healthy squad back in September. It was the beginning of the season, and we struggled against Fulham. So I am not in the slightest confident about this. I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal because I'm deciding to be a little bit optimistic. But if we are missing Trossard on the wing, we are going to struggle. And and against a team at Craven Cottage that can hold a line and will make you pay if you play too high of a line, like Arteta's been doing the last couple of games, we could end up with egg on our face in a big way. So I'm going to say 2-1 Arsenal, but I am saying that with sweaty palms. Let's just say that.
Jazz, Anthony Burton says this is going to be a tough stretch, but we have to win the league. It's gut check time. I know this saying, by the way, that he's saying. We have a saying here in South Carolina, that dog won't hunt no more. And it means no more excuses. Finish the fight. Going into Fulham, I'm not sure if I'm getting old enough. I can't remember if I asked you about Fulham or not, but I think we kind of been all over the place tonight, y'all. So, Jez, I'll ask you about Fulham on Sunday.
Fact. Love that comment, mate. That dog. What's to say? That dog won't hunt no more.
Yep, that's an old Southern term there.
Classic. I have heard that comment. I have been to South Carolina many years ago. I love America. I've been all over America many, many times. But my only thing is never go to Chicago. It's far too cold. But it is what it is. I've got a story about that, but that's for another time. Fulham away. Fulham away is always a bit of a strange day out. It's I believe it's the second smallest capacity stadium in the Premier League, apart from Bournemouth. It's a ramshackle ground, but their fan base are loyal, and it is a strange place. I have to say that, but I'm going to be positive on this one, guys. I'm going 2-0 Arsenal. I think we'll get a clean sheet. Ramsdale is on form. I think we'll have our full defence back. I believe reports that the guys that have been out with illness are back in training. So let's hope for that. I want to see Tierney at left back. I don't like this Zinchenko inverted left back midfield bullshit. It doesn't work. Martinelli doesn't get the support. We've seen it for game on now since Christmas.
It was bad. It was bad last night as well, Jez. He was so bad. I just don't get it. It's like I feel like Arteta just says, right, you're there. You're starting at left back.
Yep.
if you want to, go to right centre mid. Because he was in right centre mid, like he was on the way to the right wing. And I'm like, has he just been told just to go and do what he wants? Like, it's a bit annoying.
Yeah,
and he can't defend either. He can't defend.
Right. I think you're right, man. I think Arteta is saying have a free roll.
Yeah.
And that leaves us so exposed down that left flank. And Martinelli just doesn't get the support he gets from him and Tierney. From Tierney. And especially when Jesus is in the squad, him and Martinelli linked up so well. Now, we know Jesus ain't going to play Sunday. He travelled with the squad. I purely think he travelled with the squad purely as support because from what I'm told, what I'm led to believe, he is amazing in bolstering up support in the changing room. So big up for Arteta for doing that. I respect him. But I am going to say 2-0. I think they are a decent side, Fulham, but they are a side that we should be taking apart. They're not a team that we should be saying, Fulham away. We always used to look at Fulham away as well. Well, that's 3 points. It'd be 2-0 at half time. And then it's down the pub, guys. Could it be 3-0, 4-0 at half time, full time? So I'm confident we're going to walk away with 2-0. And I hope, Matt, that Arteta's realised his mistake from last night, that we tried to play a silly game and it cost us. Because, let's be fair. Arsenal Football Club should have come out of that game last night winning. And we come away with a Desmond 2-2, and that's not good. Because now we are now under pressure at home because they're going to come at us.
Yeah,
they are going to come at us. So I'm going 2-0, man.
All right.
I just wanted to say something on Jess's point there. He was saying that Jesus went to Portugal to provide the off the locker room support, and I've heard that's one of the reasons why we have Holding. I've heard that's one of the reasons why we've got Xhaka, right? Because they're like the leaders, and they are they help get the team across the line sometimes. Vocally.
Are we so mentally weak that we have to freaking bring along hair transplant Rob Holding to motivate the starting 11? I can't. And how we started against Bournemouth, obviously they needed a little bit more motivation before going onto the pitch.
The big factor is, in my opinion, is because you've got such a young squad, there's such a lack of leadership. And this is the problem. And then there's such good leaders in football. I mean, I can give you the perfect example of Casemiro at Manchester United. World class, actually plays for them. I could honestly agree with that, saying Rob Holding's on the payroll for Arsenal because he's motivational. Well, somehow.
But did you see? But we saw Jesus day one, first time he stepped on the pitch for us. From that day on, we're like, all right, we're good. We got the guy that we can. We're gonna run up the hill behind this guy. All right. He basically came on, and basically, there you go. You've got your on the field leader. He can perform, and we're ready to go. So, like Holding and Xhaka and all these other players that are motivational speakers for us and all of that, we got it. And Zinchenko, I hear, is the same way. Jorginho just came in, same way, and he's going to be around for 18 months. So we got the voices now. We got the voices now. We need those players on the pitch now that can do it for us.
Me personally, I don't hear a damn thing Rob Holding has to say. Because Rob Holding
what's he won apart for 2 FA Cups? Is it 2 or 3 FA Cups?
I was just about to say there, Matt. A leader for me is a man that lifts up the league title. Until then, as far as I'm concerned, we have no fucking leaders. You're talking. That's all. That kind of talk is all bullshit. That's motivating speech. It's not that fucking shite. These lads are multi-millionaires. Is that not motivation enough? You get up on your bed, you look out the window and you say, look at the lifestyle I'm leading because I'm paying for Arsenal Football Club. That should be motivation in itself. All of us here have to pay our bills. We have to get up. We have to struggle day by day. If I was a professional footballer, I'd be motivated enough with the money I'd be getting. I tell you that. And I go out and I try. Because I tell you why I try. Because my father would have worked in a factory. Or my mother would have worked in a nursing home. Or my granddad would have been a truck driver. These dads have families. All their families were not all professional footballers. So surely they got to realise where they come from, their background. And you go out there and you be proud of the family. You pay for your family. You pay for your background, your heritage, where you come from. That should be motivation in itself. And you say, and then you look into the eyes of your child and you say, my child don't have to struggle in this world because of what I'm doing for a living. That should be motivational in itself, lads. The crest that you play with for, that should be motivation. Tony Adams didn't need any fucking motivational speeches. He went out and he did it and he delivered. Fucking bullshit that you have to listen to. Absolute fucking shite. You go out there and you try to win a trophy. That's it. That's your fucking job.
I mean, that's motivation right there.
I know fucking 5 minutes in that dressing room.
Kyle,
I guarantee you to win the league title.
Kyle, after this stream is over, I'm going to run through that fucking wall.
I mean, that's motivation, Kyle, man. You get Kyle.
Motivational speech for
right there, brother.
I'm with you, Kyle, but we're just speaking the truth. The truth right now is, unless somebody tells them, they're not running through that wall. Right? Unless somebody tells them they don't want to run through that wall, even though, guess what? There's a trophy right there. It's right there in first place. All they do is hold on to that spot. It's all theirs.
Yeah, that goes and that brings this whole conversation full circle. It's like I said, now is the time you're gonna. If I was Arteta, and I know if it was United, it was Ferguson. Ferguson would be doing it. He sit there and watch. Well, who is actually going to step up here and be a leader and get this team over the line? Because at this time now is when you've got to look within. The squad has to look within. Who is going to fight this battle with me? Who's going to war? Because Jazz, we saw Tony Adams and the crew that we knew who the leaders were. With Keon, we knew who the leaders were. You could look over there and say, okay, this guy here is looking around. He's taking roll to see who's with him on this battle. When we go those famous battles against United back in the day. And now it's everybody's looking around. Like you said, we got to carry Rob Holding to a game. What? Rob Holding. And y'all know how I feel about Rob. I can't stand Rob Holding. So he's taking up so much space at this football club, and anybody that's just content with just being good, just barely just getting scraped by, is not a player that I want to have associated with my football club. He needs to be moved on and sold to Wigan. He needs to be out of here. He needs to be out of this team in the summer. He's the first person that needs to be sold in the summer, as far as I'm concerned. I'm sick of it.
As I was telling you earlier, today, when that mistake happened on that corner, and Dewey ducked, and then Turner didn't get to it, nobody turned around upset at all. Think about it. If that was Gabriel and he got called off the ball and Turner didn't get to it, or if that was Ramsdale and Ramsdale watched Gabriel duck, we're talking. We are talking, because no. That ball's got to get out of here. Either I'm doing it or you're doing it. Yep. And that's the kind of communication that you need to have, because that was bad. He ducked. Either he looked bad or he's just not ready to play. Right? Well, either somebody made him look bad, which is Turner, or he doesn't want to be out there. That did not look good. And somebody needed to pay for it with, some harsh words at least.
Gary, you're spot on. And let me go back. I refer back to a bit of history. Dennis Bergkamp, and we all know what that man is. Possibly the greatest player ever to play for Arsenal. When he came to Arsenal, he wasn't that great when he came to Arsenal. He went to run of games, he didn't score, he wasn't doing anything. And Tony Adams went into the dressing room one day, grabbed him by the throat and said, you came here to play for Arsenal Football Club. Are you going to play for Arsenal, or are you going to fuck off? The next game, Dennis Bergkamp scored 2 wonder goals, and the rest is history. That's what I'm talking about. That's the winning mentality. That's what you're saying, Gary. that someone should have took the two lads to the side there last night and said, what the fuck is going on here, lads? But there's not. You look at our football club, coming against Fulham there on Sunday. Who's our captain? Odegaard. He's our captain. It's an absolute disgrace to Arsenal Football Club. You look at all the great captains throughout the history of the club. Frank McClintock, Vieira, Adams, to mention a few. And then you have this clown. It's a joke. The whole thing is a fucking joke.
I mean, you're not gonna get an argument from me, man. You're not gonna get an argument from me. It's just the fact that's the way we move, man. We've just downgraded in like key areas. You know, you need that. You know, you bring up a good point. I'm gonna say this, and we'll get ready to wrap it up, y'all. I'm gonna say this, Kyle. I couldn't have thought of you. Just made something pop into my head. If we're having aspirations of winning the title and competing in Europe, we're gonna really need to address some of this personnel around here. Because I don't think we have strong personnel mentality, strong mentality. You look at these teams in Europe, some of these bigger teams, and you go look at the roster that they have, and you see players, they've got the mentality of the players that they have. I mean, I give an example of a team that's not even in Europe, but just the fact that the person that's coaching them, the mentality is bled through to the team. Look at Burnley. Look at Company over there coaching. Look at that. That's what the mentality of a player that can come in and say, this is what my expectations are. This is what I expect as a player. This is what I expect from you as a player. And this is what you need to do. And then they go out and they perform. Our personnel takes on the mentality of the manager. And Gary, I've told you this time and time again. Our manager he's just good enough to get by. Just good enough to get by. He's not going to make someone good great. And that's when you right now is when you need players that go from good to great to get you over the line. And I'm hoping somewhere he goes to some workshop somewhere and learns that in the next week or two, and so that he can hopefully pull that out of somebody. But for right now, that's what has me on pins and needles, is that we've got to deal with his ability to coach us out of bad situations, which doesn't have a great track record. And then we've got to deal with players who really aren't good enough to try to get us over the line, a la Nketiah, if he has to come back in. So, I mean, it's going to be a trying next few weeks and the next couple of months. And all I can tell you to do is, as Samuel L. Jackson once said, just hold on to your butts. So, with that, fellas, Jez, shout out, tell everybody where they can find you at, my friend.
Yeah, Arsenal history and more. YouTube, talk about the history and everything else. Match reactions, previews, podcasts, get everybody on. I always love to have new people on and have a chat and everything. And I'm not on Twitter. God, I think that platform's actually crap. And Instagram, it's collins.jez. And we have a group chat on there. It's all good fun. Gary, I'll add you to that, man.
Oh, perfect. I appreciate that.
Are you sure Gary wants to be a part of that?
I don't know. I think I do. I definitely. Yeah, no, I do.
No. It's fun. Last night got a bit heated by a few people, but that's how it is in the group chat. It's all friendly. It's all good fun. And Matt, thank you for having me on, man.
Always good to see you, Jez. Yeah, always good to see you, Jez. Love you, man. I always try to catch you when I'm not working, or if I'm driving in the car, I try to tune in and listen to you, man. Straight facts, man. Straight, no chaser. Gary, tell the people where they can find you and find us on Monday night.
That's right. First, I want to say thanks, Matt, for having me on. Jez, it's good to be on with you live. I don't know if I've done that before, but definitely enjoyed it. Kyle, I think I've been on with you before. Good seeing you again. Connor, welcome, and TJ as well. Good hearing, seeing you guys. And as Matt said, on Mondays, 12:30 a.m. for you guys across the pond, me and Matt do a show with Tony and Mr. Tom. We'll talk about Arsenal match and pretty much anything else that we can think of at the time. On the weekends, I do a show as well. Usually it's I guess it's 11 a.m. over here, so about 4 p.m. for you guys across the pond. Tomorrow I have family things to do, so it's not going to be a show tomorrow. But you can catch me on Saturdays and Mondays. DWTT. Just type DWTT Arsenal, and I should pop up first on the Arsenal on YouTube. So thank you.
All right. And Kyle, the legend, what's going on, brother?
Yeah,
Tell me where
Matt,
they can find you at, man.
first of all, Matt, I'd like to say a big up to you for having me on your show. Really appreciate it, man. Really, really appreciate it. And it's great to share the screen with Jay's pure legend of a man. And big up to DWTT. Gary, we shared the screen before, my friend. Connor, pleasure. And TJ, pleasure. Gents. And just like you say, you get me on TonyclaudeGunner YouTube. And I think I am well known for, pretty much explosive content. So
Colorful language.
I tell you what people have told me. They've told me that the praise that Arsenal get based, because when Arsenal win, it's not as good. And when Arsenal get based, the tunes into TonyclaudeGunner, because I absolutely fucking cracks.
No lie told.
I think my YouTube channel, I think if we have a bad season, I think I'd have more than League Owner. I'd say I'll probably have 100,000 subscribers because everybody be tuning in. So if we're in a relegation battle, trust me, I'll have 1.9 million subscribers. But if we're winning, I'd have 170. So there you go.
Yeah. Hey, always great, Kyle. Always great, man.
Just subscribed, WDT.
Huh?
I've just subscribed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yes.
I've subscribed to my personal YouTube. After this, I'll subscribe on this one, which is my Arsenal History Mall one.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much for the support. Yep.
Connor, glad to have you here, brother.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for having me on for this first time. It's been a lot of fun. I was a bit late. Sorry about that. I was cooking up a mad storm in the kitchen, so I was a bit late today. But yeah, thank you very much for having me on. I'm always happy to come along and speak my views. And I'm mainly just on Instagram. I do some editing stuff, some graphic stuff, which I've done for some of the guys here, like Kyle and Jez. And so I do that now and then. And so if you ever want to hit me up for some graphic work, I'm more than happy to help. And that's cmo.editing on Instagram. And I have a personal as well. That some people follow, some people that I talk to on the group chat as well. Connor MXO. And again, thank you, Matt, for having me on the show.
And I just want to say, this young man has done all the graphics for my channel, and the intro. Everybody rates the intro. I get so many people say it's the best intro for an Arsenal channel on YouTube, and that's down to this young man, Connor, top fella.
Thank you. Thanks, Jez.
I said the same. You did great work for my channel as well.
Yeah. Thanks, Carl. Cheers. Thank you very much.
Man, when I first saw that intro on Jez's channel, it almost brought me to tears, man. That was the glory days there, man. You see that stuff, you like, oh man, it was like watching the old band, the old band back. So yeah.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
TJ, Midwesterner, tell us where everybody can find you at, brother.
First, I just want to say big up to this incredible panel. Thank you so much for having me on. Matt, obviously, I've been watching you on Lee's stuff for a long time, so it's incredible to be on the same screen with the legends. So I really appreciate you guys having me on. Connor, I'm definitely going to be hitting you up. I am starting my my YouTube channel tonight, actually, with Strasbourg Steve and Oregon Gunner, aka DVS, aka Dow. We're going to be just talking about the fixtures coming up this weekend, as well as the Champions League and Europa League fixtures that happen. It's not just going to be Arsenal. We're going to be talking Spurs. We're going to be talking Chelsea. We're going to be talking the whole gambit. So, yeah, tune in for that. I'll post the link in the group if anybody wants to join. But if anybody out there wants to come and support me on my first show, it's called the American Idiots Show. The first round, so we'll see how that goes. But again, I just want to close. You know, we may not agree on the way that it gets done, but we are all behind one team here. So never forget where our passion is going towards. It's not towards the players. It's not towards Arteta. It's not towards Edu. It's for this, right? Club above all else. So, again, thank you, Matt, for having me on.
No problem, brother. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. And I want to say thanks for everybody for joining this afternoon. The panel, world-class panel here. Great discussion tonight. I thoroughly enjoyed it, man. And hey, man, let's pack up the truck and let's head on over to Fulham. Let's get a win. I predict I'm going 2-1. I just feel like we'll do something stupid on the corner, but it'll be 2-1. We'll get the win, and then we'll move on and get ready for this stupid international break. Why the fuck do we have an international break when we just got out of a World Cup? I don't understand it. It blows my mind. All international games should be played in the summer. That's just my opinion.
100%.
So
Great.
with that, everybody, I hope everyone has a wonderful Friday night, and we're out of here. Peace.